I was scrolling the news and I was thinking about how Anthem is going to be shut down at the beginning of January 2026 after, a surprisingly lengthy life cycle, to be completely honest. But a game that might potentially end up disappearing in its entirety a lot sooner is Splitgate 2. Because with Steam players down for over 90%, which doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, Splitgate 2 dev unreleases the game, lays off staff, and plans to shut down the service of the original Splitgate as fans fear another live service death. And their quote, it says here is, "Some people may never come back, and that's on us." So after a disappointing Steam launch that seemed a steep drop-off, which, depending on how you look at things, may or may not be true, I guess it just depends on how you want to interpret numbers that are being presented to you. But the one thing we can't deny is that Splitgate 2 is trying to gamble on a bunch of different things, and unfortunately, things don't seem to be working out too well for them in the grand scheme of things, especially with the whole make FPS great again hat that I can't remember who it was, someone from the studio, I can't remember if it was like the head of the studio or something like that, wore at I was about to say Game Awards, but no, it was Jeff Keighley's Summer Games event, basically. But basically what the studio has said is we're going back to beta. So basically going from a release product and unreleasing it effectively, which there are games in the past that have done that, but have never actually survived. Multiverses, I think, is a really good example. Actually, it says right here, there's actually two very good examples. Multiverses, it released, it did incredibly well, and then they said, okay, we were in beta the whole time, give us another year of development and we're going to re-release the game. When they re-released the game, the numbers were nowhere near as much as what they used to be. The game was objectively worse than how it was in beta, and in fact, as you probably all well know, Multiverses was then shut down as of May of this year. May? Yeah, like near the end of May. We're in July now when I'm recording this, so a couple of months ago, Multiverses was in fact shut down. And of course, Amazon's Crucible, which released, unreleased, and then got cancelled, basically. And it also happened very quickly for Crucible. I think probably didn't really last longer than a week, I don't think. Yeah. So that's maybe a few weeks. Who knows? At this point, I've actually not heard the name Crucible in so damn long that it's kind of interesting to see how things are going. So basically, what the studio is saying is, we'll be heads down until early next year, rebuilding major parts of the game to capture the spirit of what made Splitgate special. This means reworking progression from the ground up, adding more portals to our maps, simplifying monetization, refocusing on classic game modes you've been asking for, and more, which we'll share soon. Splitgate 2 will remain playable and will be shipping Chapter 3, as well as fixing high priority changes 1047 somewhat confusingly adds. So they're going into beta, but fixing the problems of the game and coming back somehow next year, or beginning of next year. Now, you might think, wait, hold on, that sounds a lot like what Multiverses did. You're not wrong, but the thing is that Multiverses was actually in beta for 6 months between I want to say it was like June to December of 2023, and then they came back January of 2025. So they were gone for like a full year. Whereas in the case of Splitgate 2 here, if they were to unrelease today and come back in January, they would only maybe be gone for at most 5 if not 6 months at the most. But in terms of actual numbers of players, SteamDB shows that Splitgate 2 peaked at 25,785 concurrent players last month, but then declined to a 24-hour peak of 1,839. Now, there is obviously always going to be a decline. So 1,800 players is still good for a game, but obviously it's not great, especially when you're needing to play a game that requires other people to be playing at the same time as you. And Splitgate Steam's reviews are that's their original Splitgate review, which is sitting at 91% positive. But yeah, it's only 61% positive on Splitgate 2, so that's also just not great either. It hasn't gone well, or you could say, or as 1047 puts it, which is the developers, we launched too early, we had ambitious goals with Splitgate 2, and in our excitement to share it with you, we bit off more than we could chew. We rushed certain features, made some boneheaded mistakes, and more importantly, we didn't give you the polished, portal-filled mayhem you fell in love with. And so what they've continued to say is we've made the incredibly difficult decision to reduce certain roles and shift our resources to focus on this rework. Laying off yet more people after just weeks after the last cuts. Okay, that's interesting. And to top it off, we're also going to be shutting down OG Splitgate servers in a month, 1047 says. Wow, okay, so they're just dropping it there, being like, next month, Splitgate 1 shutting down. Which is interesting to see the least. They continue to say, we've faced a lot of dark days and have made many mistakes, but we've learned a lot and are as determined as ever to make Splitgate as great as possible. Co-founder Ian Prolix and Nicholas Baggerman conclude. Prolix, you may remember. Yes, so this is the guy who had the Summer Game Fest hat on, saying making FPS is great again. Splitgate has been our life for 10 years and we wouldn't have it any other way. We've got work to do, but we aren't giving up. I feel like at this point you might as well give up, I think. Unreleasing the game, the first time it's killed off, it was doing well before that. Let's see, what have people got to say on the market? So, players are saying you get one chance to make a first impression. That's true. Let's put an F in the chat for the OG Splitgate. That's fair. We understand it's our last chance, this user said in response to one user, hoping to relaunch work somehow. But the thing is that whenever a relaunch has happened, it's never really worked out. Multiverse is, like I said, very solid example of that. All we can really hope to do is build the Splitgate everyone deserves, which we'll again have to wait and see how things like that go. Yeah, this can't possibly end well for them, I don't think. I don't see any way in which this could potentially work out, but hey, if you've got any better ideas, people in the audience that are watching this video, please shout them in the comments below, because I feel like whatever idea you might have is probably going to be better than unreleasing a game. They should just still continue to try and push out whatever they can. Live services have never been a particularly good idea, and if you're going to release a multiplayer only shooter, just release it as a multiplayer only shooter. Say that there's not going to be any updates. Maybe we'll do add some guns every now and again and some new maps every now and again, and just leave it at that. I feel like live services are just a poison in the well of gaming as it is. But with all that being said, however, let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year. With all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.